This is Yvonne reading. This is Yvonne video calling her daughter. And this is Yvonne sculpting. What you can't see is that Yvonne Shortt is legally blind. And she knows what you might be thinking.
Well, you don't look like you're blind.
It's true. With no service dog and no sunglasses inside, Yvonne hardly fits the stereotype. So, what's going on? We tend to think of blindness like a light switch. Turn it on and you're sighted, turn it off and you're blind. But about 85% of those who are legally blind can still see some light, and their vision can change throughout the day. They may see you clearly in one setting, but find themselves totally blind just a few feet away. So we're going to show you what it looks like when someone slowly loses their vision. Let's start with Yvonne's condition. It's called retinitis pigmentosa, or RP for short. It's a genetic condition, and over the course of a lifetime can cause an individual to completely lose their vision. One of the earliest symptoms arrives decades before many are diagnosed.
In a movie theater, I would wonder sometimes, how could it be that my mother and father could see so clearly to get to their seat? I would always grab my mother or father's hand because it was dark. As I started to go into my teens, my uncle said, "Wow, the sky is lit up." And I thought, well, I see a couple of stars, but I wouldn't say it was lit up.
To understand Yvonne's vision loss, we need to go inside her eyes. This is the retina, and it's lined with cells called photoreceptors. RP causes these cells to gradually die off, severely compromising the retina. In the early stages, this caused Yvonne to lose her ability to see in dark spaces. Decades later, as her retina continued to deteriorate, she began developing blind spots in her periphery.
There would be a hydrant. I would almost hit it, and my husband would grab me, and I would go, "Oh, that's kind of weird."
This visual simulation of RP was made by Karst Hugstein. He's a researcher who also has the condition. The blind spots he's depicted develop gradually, meaning it can take years before folks like Yvonne have a sudden wake-up call and realize that they're there.
For me, it was that moment when I saw my girls. Something seemed wrong. They were playing and they were hopping around. I couldn't follow them. I asked them to just walk across the room. Even when they were walking, I couldn't see one's knee and I couldn't see the other's arm. It was scary. I realized there's something wrong. We really need to investigate.
5 doctors later, Yvonne finally learned that she might lose her vision altogether.
In any situation, you have the option. Do you move forward? Do you stop? Do you move backward? That day, even when I was crying and people are walking by and looking, I could close my eyes and I could still feel the snow as it hit my nose. I could still stick out my tongue. I could still feel the wetness in the atmosphere. There were all of these other senses that I still had.
In the 13 years since her diagnosis, Yvonne's condition continues to decline. She is now legally blind, with only a narrow cone of clear vision. But over the years, she's developed many ways to adapt, including a playful metaphor to explain her field of vision.
If he's 5 feet in front of me, I might see his trunk, I might see his foot, I might see a bit of his stomach. As I move back, I get to see more of him. If he's in just the right location, I can see the elephant entirely.
When moving back isn't possible, Yvonne relies on a technique called scanning.
So when I first came in the room, I pause, I scan the room to see what's around me, what's to the right, what's to the left of me. So even though I'm not really seeing it, I get this visual map in my head. That's a light, so I should be careful.
Scanning is just one of many ways that people with RP learn to adapt. You might see someone with RP using their phone's camera at night, or wearing a headlamp while cooking. And then there's the white cane.
The moment you have a cane, you have just made public something that is very private. Will I not be able to get that client because he sees I'm using a cane? Will I lose my husband? Will he leave me?
Yvonne's refusal to use the white cane shifted when she joined a support group.
And this one amazing person, I told her my biggest fear, having to have a cane. As we were leaving, she put her cane in my hand and she just held my arm here. There were people coming at us, a big group of people, and I just started whacking it on the floor. It was so amazing to have them just scatter to the right and left. I felt like Moses with the parting of the sea. My husband was coming toward me, and it was like, okay, now he sees. The jig is up, honey. Everyone's gonna see me using this. My husband was like, so what size is that? Did it feel comfortable? Shall we order one?
As Yvonne's RP progressed, she shifted her career focus to the arts. She began creating sculptures of women of color, placing her work in historically white neighborhoods.
I make a face of a little girl, and I make that face for hours until I feel her breathing. I thought, if I can't see, will I have that connection with it? But there's the tactility, the wetness of the clay, how it dries. I realized that I can still make objects, even with my eyes closed, and they still feel beautiful to me.
As Yvonne navigates the dangers of being blind, she wants you to be wary of the dangers that come with being sighted.
When you see, you make certain decisions about people based on all of the stuff that you have inside of you. And if you couldn't see, if you closed your eyes and just listened, then you would actually have to hear what somebody is saying.
Even though the condition is described as a vision loss, many people with RP experience an expansion of their other senses. Increased directional hearing. The ability to detect footsteps from seemingly miles away. And more touch. More time spent holding hands with loved ones.
Sometimes I'm looking in my eyes and I'm just like, oh, God, why? Why was I one? Why was I one of those very small number? But I still see Yvonne. I see a person who's happy, passionate, and in love with the world, in love with the smell of snow.